Alright, well this is my entry for an apocalypse vehicle. It's actually a daily driver for us. It's for the DeBoss Garage online car show. Thank you for all his videos, we like them. Do we get brownie points? I can keep going. Anyway, this is a 1983 Chevrolet B60 with a 48 passenger Bluebird body on it. It is, believe it or not, our daily driver. We use it for, well, just driving around. We have enough kids and we're trying to fill it. We're doing the best we can. We're up to 8 kids at the moment and some Great Pyrenees dogs. So we have 2 adult dogs and also 8 puppies at the moment. So that should make a little dent in the space. It is only a 48 passenger, so we're making progress. I want to enter for the bracketry as well, because obviously, as you can tell, this is one heck of a bracket back here, and it matches up to whatever we need it to hold our unit together. Where I was going to back up to a trailer to put a trailer on it to show it's really holding the unit together, but it would still be stuck in the mud right now if I went any closer in that attempt. So we're just going to have to imagine there's a big ass trailer behind it. Also, I think we can add it to the whole tuner racer kind of thing, because with an exhaust tip that big and with stripes on it and stickers on it, I think we fall right into the racer category. So we got bracketry, we got that stock. It is got the Detroit diesel 8.2 liter Allison automatic 4-wheel disc brakes. You know, for 83, that's like Camaro IROC territory. This is a full-blown performance car. Look at those big disc brakes. How many people can boast rolling on 20s and discs that size? We've had it several years now. We bought it out of Saskatchewan, so we can't hold that against it too much. It did save it from rust, and it didn't, well, it did get infested with mice at the time, and that took a bit of work. It is 83, and we do see some people hacking buses apart for drivetrains to put into Fords and doing stupid stuff, but we're not going to do anything like that. When I got it, there was no benches. Well, one brown bench. We pick up whatever old sofas we can, and we use them for the time being. There was full shelving from front to back down one side and spots for freezers. It was used for hauling concession trailers to fairs, Calgary Stampede notably. I did pick up an old rusted up sink and sanded it all down, repainted it, and put that in there. So that's our food prep area. We do have barbecue and some burners and different things in there. We have 2 benches I picked up. They're from a newer bus. I mounted them in on the mounting rail. And normally we have a table there, but I'm modifying the bracket for it, so when we're driving, the kids can sit and play games. We have a bed, because the kids wanted the bed back there, so we threw that in. Normally there's a second sofa there. I welded up this little rack here that we use for our storage, and that goes along with another thing that we require to be the ricer category. You have to be able to give it the beans. Well, if you can verify it, we have given this thing the beans. I don't know if you'll see any others that have been given the beans as thoroughly as this one, and clearly it's standing up to it, because look, it hasn't budged with those beans on there. So we've given her the beans. It meets that category. This here platform, the kids were supposed to put the playpen on here before I did the video. We normally have this deck was built with the lip on it for a crib, one of those fold down playpen type cribs. So when we're driving, we put the little kids in there so that they don't get their hands cut under the pedals and scream and cry and get more annoying. One thing we had to do when we got it was there was no CB radio, and as anyone with the Class 1 knows, you got a Detroit diesel, you better have a CB. So I did put a CB in, and then I promptly knocked the aerials off on an oak limb. So I haven't gotten around to fixing the CB. An old 1983 steering wheel is quite the thing to turn with your hands, especially when there's great big cracks in it that like to grab your fingers and cut them up as you're looking over your shoulder backing up, especially when you pull a trailer. So JB Weld is a great thing for filling in, filing, and repairing all those. So you got a nice steering wheel once again. The electrical is a bit of a mess when I got it, you know, from Saskatchewan, which means it did house a couple million mice before we owned it. The neat thing is, the odometer on it does only have 119,000 kilometers on there. I think it had 107 or, nope, 90, just under 100, or 103,000 kilometers when we bought it. So it's a 92, or a 1983 with the Detroit diesel with only 120,000 kilometers from a non-rust belt area. It was lacking, the seat was seized up, you know, Saskatchewan dust seized everything that can slide or move around. It won't rust it, but it'll lock her up good. So I'd taken the seat apart, got it all working, and I'd welded on some of the little brackets that they mount the bus body onto the frame with. Welded 2 of them onto the seat frame, and I put a seat belt on there. That way, you know, at least if I roll, you know, I'm okay. The kids can figure out what to do for themselves. But anyway, so I have a seat belt, unlike everyone else. Being that the times it is, here's what I use when I go in. I don't use the right. There, that's what I use when I go into the store or the post office. Throw that on, so that goes right along with the theme of this car show. But 8 kids, and you don't want to drive a minivan. There are better options out there. You don't have to, you know, cut your balls off just to have a decent vehicle. This thing, talking about cutting, oh, and unlike some people who smash their Sonum phones, I still like mine. But this thing's a 165 horse non-turbo diesel. You're not going to beat anybody anywhere. However, it does better fuel mileage than my Chevy Tahoe, which is parked out there at the moment. Of all things, it needs a tranny. And I've got a Suburban over there that I use for hauling bales in the fields with. But we did change the windshields in it. We put in tinted main windows, and then the corner ones we put in clear. The corner windows being clear give you great use of your mirrors at night, and just practical little upgrades. And we're getting like 17 plus miles to the gallon with something that, well, you can literally haul anything you want to haul. We've had a pony in here. We've had sheep in here. We oftentimes have bags of feed or whatever. I think I had 40 pallets in here one time. There was a feed store that had a pile of pallets and they said they didn't need them. So, hey, it was good firewood for a few days. Anyway, not fancy, just very practical. And definitely the kind of thing that will run forever. The great thing about this, there's no electronics. There's no nothing. You start this thing, turn the key to the on position, which, and here, something that all modern school buses are missing. Here's the well-used ashtray that was a staple of every child my age's school bus memory until I was promptly kicked off the school bus. I only ever got on them for very short times. And then, yeah, anyway. But now I have my own school bus. They can't kick me off anymore. This old girl, beast, whatever you want to call it, as you can tell, crank it, it fires, Detroit diesel, your fast idle, which sticks a little bit, but also works good as a cruise control. You just, when you come up to a corner, you hit that first before you hit the brakes. You turn the ignition off, take the key out. This thing will run and run until you manually choke it. This thing will run and drive with no key. There's no electronics. Nothing in that respect to bugger up and mess up. This is as far from a Ford as you can get. So, Allison automatic. You're not gonna, this isn't one of those pretend Allisons that these new guys like that aren't really Allisons or just branded. This is a true blue Allison. Automatic, you know. Sometimes the lights don't work, so you just kick the wires under the dash and things come back on. Works pretty good. You usually do carry a few extra tools, just, you know, it is an 83, and, you know, when you can buy a bus for a couple grand, do your modifications and have it drive and get better fuel mileage than a modern vehicle, and you've got a chassis built for 1,000,000 miles. Pretty darn hard to look at something newer. And one thing I had to do was I had to move the air vents that used to be, came along the wall and came out back there. I had to rechannel a few things, shift things around to make this work. But here's the family van that the family can cook the meal while you're getting there, so at least when you get to the store, they can feed you. And here's the pony that was brought home in said bus. She's small horse, quarter horse cob. So she's been a passenger in that bus, and she didn't seem to mind. So I don't know how much. So at that time, I guess we were 166 horsepower, not 165. But she was in. I don't know if that counts for the horsepower rating. But this is our girl. or beast, whatever you want to call it. It's not really a girl. It's an inanimate object. Although tailpipe that size, who knows? Anyway, 1983. The front end was all rust. There was no black paint on that bumper. The hooks were rusted. There was no black around the Chevy emblem. The Chevy emblem was orange. It was all one color. The mirrors, well, those ones are off of an older Superior bus, and the frames and everything on them were just rust. You can see where my aerials got snapped off oh so nicely. But it is registered as a motorhome, which means my daughter, who's currently 15, once she's old enough to get her license, this can be the first thing she drives if she wants. It is legal for anyone, even learners, to drive. So, you want to set terror off in the Tesla owner hearts? That's how you do it. Put your 15-year-old in this and say, here, go practice in the farm. When you're done, we'll take you to the city. But it is an absolutely incredible vehicle, and you can truly say they don't build them like this anymore. Thank you for your consideration, and once again, it's got the beans, it's got stripes, it's got stickers, it's definitely a racer / tuner there. Big exhaust, you know, like that's Honda Civic level exhaust on this thing if there ever was one. The motor's original, well, it's original. Minty, yeah, it's pretty minty. There's some, you can smell it when it goes by if we've driven through the farm recently. That definitely makes it minty. But anyway, that's my submission, and let's see if I can get some parts for some of my other projects with it. Thank you. Bye.